Chapter 11. Let go of those painful frogs. Your goal in life is to be happy, joyous, and emotionally free as much of the time as you possibly can. So you must get rid of all the old baggage and negativity that holds you back like lead weight and stops you from achieving all that is possible for you. Perhaps the most important principle of success and happiness is contained in the law of forgiveness, which says that you are mentally healthy to the degree to which you can freely forgive, forget, and let go of any negative experience. This does not mean that you can't learn valuable lessons from unhappy experiences, but you separate the wheat from the chaff. You take the lessons to the heart and then let the rest go. John F. Kennedy once said, "Forgive your enemies, but never forget their names." Almost all the great religions teach the importance of forgiveness as the key to inner peace. If you cannot forgive, you are stuck at a lower level of happiness and satisfaction. You are held back year after year by your refusal or unwillingness to let go of a previous hurt. According to the law of substitution, you can deliberately decide to think a thought of forgiveness that frees your mind as a substitute for any thought of anger or hurt that still makes you unhappy. Two mechanisms in your brain. But here is the kicker. You have both a success mechanism and a failure mechanism in your brain. The success mechanism is activated when you think positive, loving, forgiving thoughts about yourself and other people and focus on your goals. These positive thoughts require conscious, continuous, deliberate effort on your part. They do not happen by accident, but by choice. Your failure mechanism, unfortunately, works automatically when you stop thinking about what you want. This means that if you do not deliberately choose to think thoughts that make you happy, your mind defaults to negative thoughts that make you unhappy. Fortunately, by the law of habit, if you discipline yourself to keep your mind on positive thoughts, this eventually becomes an automatic way of thinking. When positive thinking becomes a habit, you begin to feel optimistic about yourself and your life. Now do this. Carry a small notebook with you for one day. Every time you find yourself thinking a negative thought, stop and instead choose to cancel it with a positive thought and make a note of your action. Track how often you have to make this choice and note any feelings that come up with when you don't feed the negative thought. Many people automatically feed their negative thoughts as a way to protect themselves from disappointment or possible emotional pain. This is a behavior that has been learned from experience. Fortunately, it can be unlearned if you make a conscious effort to change your responses. The need to let go. As we said before, the primary reason that people are unhappy today is because they have not forgiven another person for a mistake they feel that a person made or a wrong they feel that person inflicted upon them. The decision to practice forgiveness is essential for you to move from being a child to being an adult. When you forgive, you free yourself from negative emotions and guilt, and you free other people as well. You get rid of the baggage of the past and unleash your potential toward the realization of your future. Forgiveness is the key to joy, happiness, and inner peace. Your ability to freely forgive other people is the mark of how far you have developed as a fully functioning person. The greatest souls of the ages have been those who have developed themselves to the point where they hold no animosity toward anyone for any reason. Your goal should be same. Forgiveness is completely personal. Some people think that forgiving another person is the same as approving of his behavior or condoning his unkind or cruel act. They feel that by forgiving, they're actually letting the other person off the hook, letting him go free when it is clear that he did or said something harmful or hurtful. But here is the key. Forgiveness has nothing to do with you or the other person. Forgiveness has only to do with you. Forgiveness is a perfectly selfless act. By forgiving the other person, you do not set him free, you set yourself free. Your refusal to forgive has no effect on the other person. Your continued anger only makes you feel unhappy and depressed. In fact, if the person you are still angry with knew that you were making yourself miserable thinking angry thoughts about him, he would probably be pleased to hear about it. Is that what you want? Your biggest problems in life. It is said that 85% of our problems in life come from our relationships with other people. Almost all your negative emotions, especially those of anger and guilt, are associated with another person or other persons. When people are asked, what is the biggest problem, worry, or concern in your life today? Their answers are almost always about another person's, what they have done or what they are doing right now. Jim Newman used to conduct PACE, Personal and Corporate Effectiveness, a 3-day seminar on personal growth and effectiveness. In the seminar, he explained that we all have a series of green buttons and red buttons on our chest that trigger either happy memories or unhappy memories. By habit, whenever you push a green button, you smile and you are happy. Whenever you push a red button, you become angry and want to strike out. The green buttons are attached to happy memories and associations with people in your life whom you love and enjoy, such as your spouse and children. The red buttons are attached to the memories of people who have hurt you and whom you automatically feel angry about when their names are mentioned. Rewire your buttons by pre-programming. Jim taught that the key to taking complete control of your emotions is to rewire these buttons by pre-programming yourself to think a positive thought rather than a negative thought whenever one of your red buttons is pushed. Because your emotions operate at such an incredible speed, you can't gain control of them at the moment that they are triggered by a negative memory. You must program them in advance. You do this by saying, whenever I think of that person, I will bless, forgive, and let go. We have discovered that the key to forgiveness is the simple statement, God bless him, I forgive him, and wish him well. Or God bless her, I forgive her, and wish her well. It is not possible to be angry at a person while you are praying for him and wishing him well. When you repeat these words over and over, you actually rewire your emotions. In almost no time at all, your negative emotions attached to that person stop. Whereas before, the thought or image made you angry, now your response is completely neutral. You feel nothing at all. From then on, whenever the name or image of that person appears, simply say, God bless him, I forgive him, and I wish him well. When you do, you free yourself to get on with the wonderful life that is possible for you. The art of forgiveness. The art of forgiveness is the key to your future. From now on, when you think of someone who still makes you unhappy, use your wonderful intelligence to think of reasons to forgive and let go. Instead of reminding yourself of the unkind things that person did to hurt you, you instead bless, forgive, and let go. Soon, this becomes a habit and your whole personality changes for the better. Remember, it takes no intelligence to continually allow yourself to become angry about something that happened in the past and cannot be changed. It takes considerable intelligence and character to bless, forgive, and let go, freeing yourself from the past. Now do this. Make a list of 3 to 5 people with whom you are still angry and whom you have not forgiven for hurting you in the past. Now, for each person, say to yourself, I choose to let go of this and I forgive this for everything that happened. See how much more positive you feel when you say these words. 4 sets of people to forgive. When we talk about forgiveness in our seminars, almost everyone agrees that forgiveness is a good policy. They all nod, smile, and say that in the future they are going to freely forgive others who have hurt them. But when we come to the specific people that they need to forgive, emotional blocks appear. The four groups of people you must learn to forgive if you truly want to be happy are your parents, your intimate relationships, everyone else, and yourself. Your parents. The first people that you have to forgive are your parents. Many adults are still angry about something that one of their parents did or did not do to them or for them while they were growing up. They expected that their parents would behave in a particular way and their parents did something different. How long will you be angry? At a seminar in Orlando, Brian had lunch with Bill, one of the participants. Bill told Brian about his ex-wife, whom he had divorced after more than 20 years of marriage. She had been negative, angry, and complaining the entire time, and he finally decided that he was not willing to spend the rest of his life with that kind of a person. Bill mentioned having lunch with his ex-wife the previous week. He told her that he was concerned about her negativity and how she seemed to continually criticize other people and complain about her life and work. She reacted by saying, "Well, you would be negative too if your mother had treated you the way my mother treated me when I was a teenager." Bill said, "Susan, you have not lived with your mother for more than 25 years. How long are you going to use her as an excuse for your problems as an adult? This is an important question for you as well. How long are you going to remain angry about something that happened in the distant past?" Locked in place. Many people are still locked in place, still angry at their parents for something that happened many years ago. Sometimes people remain angry with their parents long after their parents have died. As a result, they remain as children in their own minds. They see themselves as victims. They feel angry and frustrated and often damage their relationships with their own spouses and children. Whether your parents are living or dead, in the same city or far away, you must freely forgive your parents for everything they did or said that hurt you in any way while you were growing up. You must say, "God, bless them, I forgive them, and wish them well. They did their best. Your parents did the very best they could with you based on who they were and what they had. They gave you all the love they had to give. They had no more to give than the amount you got. They were products of their own childhoods and upbringing. Their parents were, in turn, products of their upbringing by your great-grandparents. They could not have done other than what they did. They could not have raised you differently. Just as you are not perfect, your parents were not perfect either. They had fears and doubts. They made mistakes and did silly, wicked, foolish, cruel, and brainless things. They brought you into the world with the very best intentions and did the best they could with what they knew. Whenever you are bothered by something your parents did or didn't do, assume that if your parents were aware that they had said or done something that caused you pain in any way, they would feel terrible about it. In most cases, they would never have done it intentionally. If you have children yourself, imagine how you would feel if your children told you that you had hurt them in some way. You would probably be surprised. You would never intentionally want to cause pain to your children. Neither did your parents. Let them off the hook. Now, you have to forgive them and completely for every mistake they ever made in bringing you up. You have to let them off the hook because only in setting your parents free through the practice of forgiveness can you be free yourself. Only by forgiving your parents can you become a fully mature adult. One of the Brian seminar participants went to his parents' home after the first day of the seminar in which he learned the above principles. At the age of 35, he was still furious about something his father had done to him when he was 15 years old. This brooding anger was affected his relationship with his wife and his children. He had to get it off his chest. His heart was pounding, but he went up to his father and said, "Dad, do you remember what you did when I was 15? I just want you to know that I forgive you completely for that and for every other mistake you ever made in my childhood, and I love you." His father was a gruff, stern working man. He looked his son in the eye and said in an irritated tone of voice, "I have no idea what you're talking about. I have never done anything in my life that I need to be forgiven for by you." The son looked at his father with shock. He was stunned. He suddenly realized that he had been angry and upset for 20 years about something his father never even knew that he had done. He shook his head, shook hands with his father, and said goodbye. He walked out into the night, feeling as if a huge burden had been lifted off his shoulders. Write a letter or have a conversation. If your relationship with your parents was particularly bad and they are still alive, you may want to write them a letter spelling out every single thing that you can remember that caused you unhappiness or grief when you were growing up. You can start the letter by saying, "I want to forgive you for the following thing." At the end of the letter, you can say, "I freely forgive you for everything. I love you and I wish you well." Even if your parents are no longer alive, this exercise can be very helpful. If you are in contact with your parents, it may also be healing to sit down with them and explore the motivation behind something they said or did to help you alter your perspective of the situation. Often, understanding your parents' thoughts or intentions completely changes the way we feel about an experience. But you must be careful to express curiosity, not accusation, or your parents may feel attacked and become defensive. Christina encourages her clients to approach their parents by starting the conversation with an explanation of their own experience. For example, "I have been doing some self exploration and am more aware of a feeling of, I remember feeling this way when dash happened, and I was wondering if you could help me understand what was going on in that situation so I could better understand myself." Make it all about you and not about them. Christina has a friend who always felt that her parents loved her sister more than her. They treated her sister very differently and seemed to have had a closer relationship with her. Ever since this person was a child, she was aware of a disparity between the way her parents treated to her sister and the way they related to her. She had to work harder for acknowledgement and was not given as many privileges as her sister. As the years went on, she felt more and more hurt, always wondering what was wrong with her and why her parents did not love the two sisters equally. One night, she finally decided to confront them and ask why they continued to do certain things for her sister and not for her. What had she done to make them love her less? They responded with shock and surprise at the thought that they had treated the two children differently. They were absolutely convinced that they treated both children the same and didn't understand Krishna's friend's feeling of hurt. She went home that night realizing that her parents would not change or agree about the discrepancy, but she still felt liberated and relieved to have expressed her feelings to her parents. They did not validate her concerns, but they did hear her, and that was all she needed. Sometimes just confronting your unhappy feelings and getting them off your chest can liberate you from any anger you may still be feeling. Once you have forgiven your parents, you will have made a giant stride forward. You will have done something that few people ever do in their entire lives. The very act of forgiving your parents will begin the process of personal liberation. You will start to feel happier and more at peace. You will move mentally and emotionally from a child to an adult.